Well, good morning on this Thursday morning after a really busy day yesterday. As a matter of fact, the day started off strong. We continue to be strong. The acceleration all the way into the close was impressive. As a matter of fact, even the extra 50 points or so in the Dow in the last 30 minutes finished up over 300 points to the upside, recaptured that 34,000 level. This is yesterday. Today, we're giving back a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And the NASDAQ was also just accelerating and cruising along, up 160 points, back and near that 14,000 level once again. That was pretty interesting to see because we had pulled back so significantly, and now we've just been chopping wood and making a little bit of hay each and every day. You see the NASDAQ getting that much closer each and every day towards that 14,000 level. Volatility, you almost would have expected a little bit of that volatility to bump up, but with the markets trading the way they were, and it was a fairly paced acceleration to the upside. So volatility looked like 20 was in the crosshairs. Not going to happen. Now we're right back into that 17 area. And the leadership yesterday, energy, materials, we've had leadership in all kinds of different directions, of course. Those specific sectors have been the most, it seems like the most active each and every day. So yesterday, they were very strong. They were strong throughout the session. As a matter of fact, then you look over at financials, they were up almost 1.5%. Industrials nearly 1.5%. Technology was up about 1%. And inside of that part of the NASDAQ, you take a look over at the semiconductors, they were up 2.5%. Biotech was up about 3.5%. So a really strong performance. That was what was building into what we were seeing yesterday with that NASDAQ and that pretty significant move to the upside. The reopen trade was basically yesterday. And with that reopen trade, well, you got the cruise lines, you get some airlines, all that kind of thing. But that's also not so great for those that were the stay-at-home stocks. So it was the Pelotons. Netflix was down about 7.5%. It was down as much as 11% after their earnings. Yesterday finished down about 7.5%. Peloton was down about 6%. Activision was also getting hit just a little bit, down 1.5% or 2% or something like that. You can almost flip the script today. It's just amazing. Just each and every day is its own day in its own little quadrant. And it is interesting. So earnings continues to roll on. Yesterday, a little bit slower on some of the volumes. We were only about 30 million contracts yesterday, but still 30 million is a monstrous number, especially all you've got to do is go back in time and forget the pandemic for a moment. Go back in time a little bit, go back to 2017, 18, 19. You'll know what I'm talking about. 30 million would have been an absolute monster number. Now that feels like a very, little bit of a ho-hum kind of a number. It's not. It's still a very, very incredibly active market on the derivative side. So jobless claims came in way below what was expected. Matter of fact, they were expected to be at a lower level than it was certainly than we have been coming from, but about 600,000 or so. It actually came in 547,000, well below the pandemic. And these were, I believe these are the pandemic lows as far as some of these numbers. So all of that being said, we had Whirlpool come out last night. Earnings season continues. We had Chipotle coming out last night. We had Las Vegas Sands, and we just continue as we get into this earnings season, and it kind of builds and a little less effect on the broader markets so far, although Netflix certainly yesterday was one of the leadership roles, as I said, for the downside. Now, feels pretty calm today, or at least early on. We were looking at a market that was relatively flat for the Dow and the S&P. Before you know it, once we get into the day, down about 110 for the Dow, then down about 130 or 40. And the last I looked, we were trading down about 150, 160 points. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, did go down. It was down 20, 30 points, and then just rallied right back up towards that flat level again. So a lot of interesting storylines really playing out, but volatility continues to stay right there as we were talking about yesterday. 17s, well, today that's about where we are, 17 and a half, 1770, somewhere in that. And again, a very, very tight range for volatility as well. I mentioned how you just flip the switch. Well, energy and materials, they're leading to the downside today, down over 1% a piece. Financials, down about 0.75% last I looked. And you just kind of go through each and every one of these different sectors, and you see semiconductors strong yesterday, down about 1.5%. The Dow, now I'm talking about Dow, the company. Dow is really what's leading the Dow Industrials, the Indu, down to the downside. That's down about 5.5% today after their earnings as well. So a lot of just kind of shifting back and forth. Let's even take a quick look. S&P is about flat. I see the Dow has bounced back pretty good now. It was cut about a third of it. It's down about 120 points or so. And actually, I'm looking at the NASDAQ. It's now starting to move to the upside. So a little bit of a shift in that movement that we are seeing, where we're seeing that shift. And what are the names that are moving in the NASDAQ to the upside? All those names that were those pandemic names, the names that were getting hit a little bit yesterday. So it's the Pelotons and it's Zoom and it's a lot of these kind of names that are moving to the upside and pulling on that NASDAQ to the upside as well. So two, of course, unusual option activities, and we're going to get out of here. The first one, FuelCell, FCEL. Now, this one's interesting because trading at about $10.37, okay? Keep in mind, they are buying tomorrow's expiring options. So this is do or die time for FuelCell. Are they going to be able to accelerate through 10.5? They had a buyer of 22,000 of the 10.5 strike calls that expire tomorrow. They were going for about 15 cents up to about 35 cents. So a fairly inexpensive play, and a play that's right there, right where it is, and basically just saying, you know what, FuelCell can and will pop above. If that's the case, these options could start to move to the upside in a hurry. So that's something. They also, let's remember, time is of the essence, and this has to happen today or tomorrow for this to pan out. So that's number one. Number two, I got Dish. We're going to go a little bit further out in time, not tomorrow's expiration. We're actually going all the way out to June. Now in Dish, we have some size getting bought. Once again, 5,000 of the June 45 calls. So we're going for about $1.75. They are being hedged off by selling the June 50 calls. And actually, they're selling twice as many as they're buying of the June 45s. So understand there is that much more risk involved in a trade like this. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, the Market Rebellion team can certainly help you out. We got the best in the business. Now, this is also part of a roll up from the June 40s now to the June 45s. That's what they're buying. So this is somebody who's done well in a trade, wants to stay in the trade, and is willing to say, you know what, I think the stock is actually going to go to the upside. I just don't think it's going through 50, but I do see more upside. That's what the trader is telling us by what they're doing in this trade. And that should be something very interesting to watch. A lot of people, just so you know, you can always just buy June 45s. It's a similar trade. You're just taking some of the risk off the table by hedging the upside, but they're putting more risk on as well by doing twice as many. All of that can be very, very complicated, but I can tell you this. Dish, by the paper we're seeing here, somebody was right before, and they think they're going to be right again, and they're rolling up to these June 45 calls. Again, stock was trading about 41.80 at the time of this trade. Folks, have a great day of trading. I look forward to seeing you again. I'll see you tomorrow on Friday. No halftime, no CNBC today for me, but I will see you tomorrow on The Take. Have a great day of trading.